My name is Kurt Kaminsky, and I run a used car lot in upstate New York. Nothing fancy, just honest deals for honest people trying to get from point A to point B without breaking the bank. What I never expected was discovering I was someone else's plan B all along. It started on a Tuesday evening in October. The leaves were turning that burnt orange color that makes everything look like it's dying slowly, which seemed appropriate given what I was about to learn about my marriage. Kurt, we need to talk, Jenna said, standing in our kitchen doorway like she was delivering a court summons. After 15 years of marriage, I knew that tone. It meant trouble. Sure, I said, muting the television. What's on your mind? She sat across from me on our worn leather couch, the one we'd bought when we still believed we were building something together. Her hands were folded in her lap like she was praying, but her eyes held no reverence, just cold calculation. I've been thinking about us, she began. About our relationship, our future, everything. Okay, I said, though something in my gut was already churning. And? The truth is, Kurt, you were never my first choice. You were plan B. Not the dream I had for my life. The words hit me like a wrench to the chest. Plan B, not the dream. After 15 years, 3 moves, 1 daughter, and countless nights of working late to keep us afloat, I was plan B. What exactly does that mean? I asked, keeping my voice steady despite the storm building inside. It means I settled, she said, with the casual cruelty of someone discussing the weather. I thought you'd grow into something more, but you're still just Kurt with his little car lot, making his little deals. I stared at her, really looked at her for the first time in months. When had her face become so sharp, so dismissive? When had she started looking at me like I was something she'd stepped in? So what are you saying, Jenna? You want a divorce? I'm saying I want more. I deserve more. That's when our 13-year-old daughter, Carrie, appeared in the hallway, her face pale and eyes wide. She'd heard everything. Mom? Carrie's voice was small, confused. Go to your room, honey, Jenna said without looking at her. Adults are talking. Carrie looked at me, and I saw something break in her expression. She disappeared upstairs, her footsteps heavy on the old wooden stairs. Nice, I said. Real nice, Jenna. Don't lecture me about parenting. At least I'm honest about what I want. Honest. The word stuck in my throat like a bone. Because if Jenna was being honest now, what had the last 15 years been? A lie? A performance? The next morning, I decided to find out just how honest my wife had been. I drove past the bookstore where she worked, expecting to see her car in the employee parking lot. Instead, I saw it at Murphy's Diner across town, and she wasn't alone. George Riker sat across from her in a corner booth, leaning forward like they were sharing secrets. George, who used to be my friend. George, who'd been coming to our house for barbecues and birthday parties. George, who was supposed to be married to his own wife, Linda. I parked where I could watch them without being seen. Jenna was laughing at something George said, her hand covering his across the table. It was the kind of laugh I hadn't heard from her in years, genuine, bright, alive. My phone buzzed with a text from Jenna. Working late tonight. Don't wait up. Working late. Right. I drove back to the lot, my mind racing. Anna Martinez, my manager, took one look at my face and poured me coffee without asking. You look like someone stole your favorite wrench, she said. Anna was the kind of person who noticed everything but only spoke when it mattered. She'd been running the day-to-day operations for 3 years, and I trusted her judgment more than most people's. Jenna and I had a conversation last night, I said. The kind that ends marriages? The kind that reveals they were never real to begin with. Anna nodded slowly. I'm sorry, Kurt. That's rough. The thing is, I think there's more to it. I think she's been lying about a lot of things. You want to know how much? I looked at her. What do you mean? I mean, if you want to know the truth about what your wife's been doing, you might not like what you find. Tell me. Anna hesitated, then pulled out her phone. Megan Walsh came by last week looking for you. When I told her you weren't here, she started talking about how Jenna's been having these study sessions with George. Said they've been meeting up for months. Megan was Jenna's best friend, a gossip who collected secrets like baseball cards. If she was talking, everyone already knew. Study sessions, I repeated. That's what she called them, but Megan was smirking when she said it. I felt something cold settle in my chest. Not anger yet, just a crystalline clarity that cut through 15 years of assumptions. Anna, I need you to do me a favor. Name it. If anyone comes asking about me, about the business, about anything, you tell them we're doing great, expanding, thriving. Are we? We're about to be. That evening, I came home to find Jenna getting ready to go out. She was wearing a dress I'd bought her for our anniversary 2 years ago, the one she'd claimed was too fancy for anywhere we ever went. Going somewhere nice? I asked. Book club, she said without meeting my eyes. We're discussing that new mystery novel everyone's reading. Which one? She paused, lipstick halfway to her mouth. You wouldn't know it. Try me. It's complicated, Kurt. You wouldn't understand. There it was again, that dismissive tone, like I was too simple to comprehend her sophisticated world of books and study sessions and mystery novels she couldn't name. Have fun, I said. After she left, I went through her things. Not proudly, not happily, but methodically. I found hotel receipts tucked in her jewelry box, text messages on her old phone that she thought she'd deleted, pictures on her laptop that told a story I'd been too trusting to see. George wasn't just her friend. He was her escape plan, her upgrade, her real choice. I was the safety net she kept around while she figured out how to jump. The texts were the worst part. Months of messages about how trapped she felt, how she deserved better, how George understood her in ways I never could, how they were planning to be together once she figured out how to leave me without losing too much in the process. One message stood out. Kurt's so clueless. He actually thinks we're happy. This is going to be easier than I thought. I sat in my kitchen, surrounded by evidence of my wife's betrayal, and felt something shift inside me. The hurt was still there, but it was hardening into something else, something colder and more focused. Jenna wanted to play games? Fine, but she'd picked the wrong opponent. I'd spent 20 years learning how to read people, how to spot lies, how to negotiate from a position of weakness and come out ahead. Every customer who walked onto my lot thought they could outsmart the used car guy. Most of them learned otherwise. My wife was about to get the same education. The next morning, I started my research. If Jenna thought she was playing chess while I played checkers, she was about to learn that I'd been studying the board longer than she realized. First stop, the Rusty Nail, the bar where half the town's business got done over beer and gossip. Tommy Brennan, the owner, had been selling cars before I was born. He knew everything about everyone, and more importantly, he knew how to keep his mouth shut when it mattered. Kurt, Tommy called when I walked in. Little early for you, isn't it? Coffee's fine, I said, sliding onto a bar stool. I need to ask you something, Tommy. Shoot. You hear anything about my wife lately? Any gossip making the rounds? Tommy's expression shifted. He set down the glass he was cleaning and looked at me carefully. You sure you want to know? I'm sure. Word is she's been stepping out, with George Riker. Megan Walsh has been running her mouth about it for weeks. What exactly has Megan been saying? That Jenna's been meeting George at the Sunset Motel out on Route 9. That they've been planning this for months. That she's been talking about leaving you once she gets her affairs in order. Affairs. The word had multiple meanings, and I was pretty sure Jenna was juggling both kinds. Anything else? George has been bragging about it. Subtle like, but bragging all the same. Says he's finally getting what he deserves. What he deserves. I filed that away for later. Thanks, Tommy. I owe you one. You don't owe me anything, Kurt. Just be careful, okay? George isn't as harmless as he pretends to be. I drove to the lot, my mind working through possibilities. Anna was already there, going through paperwork with the focused intensity that made her invaluable. Morning, boss. You look like you slept better. I did. Clarity has that effect. Find what you were looking for. More than I wanted, less than I need. I told her what Tommy had said, watching her face darken with each detail. That snake, she muttered. Both of them. Here's what I need you to do. Call the bank and change all the access codes on our business accounts. Make sure only you and I can authorize anything. Done. What else? I want to know everywhere George Riker does business in this town. Who he owes money to. Who owes him money. What side jobs he's working. Everything. Anna smiled grimly. I can do that. My cousin Rosa works at the credit union. She might have some interesting information about Mr. Riker's financial situation. Perfect. And Anna? If anyone asks, we're doing great. Business is booming. We're thinking about expanding to a second location. Are we? We might be. Depends on how things shake out. That afternoon, I followed George. Not obviously, not dramatically, just the patient surveillance of someone who knows how to wait for the right moment. He drove to 3 different locations. A garage where he did freelance mechanic work, a pawn shop where he seemed to be selling something, and finally, to Megan Walsh's apartment complex. Megan lived in one of those upscale places with names like the Residences at Somewhere Important. The kind of place that charged extra for the privilege of having a doorman who pretended to remember your name. I parked across the street and watched George go inside. 20 minutes later, Jenna's car pulled into the visitor parking. My wife and my former friend, meeting at her best friend's apartment. Cozy. I took pictures. Not for any legal proceeding. I wasn't planning to drag this through divorce court. But information was power, and I was collecting all I could get. My phone rang. Carrie. Dad? Where are you? At work, sweetie. What's up? Mom's not home yet, and I'm hungry. I checked the time. 6:30. Jenna was supposed to pick Carrie up from school and make dinner. Instead, she was playing house with George at Megan's place. I'll be right there, I said. I found Carrie sitting at the kitchen table, doing homework with the resigned patience of a kid who'd learned not to expect much from adults. Sorry, kiddo. Let's order pizza. It's okay, Dad. Mom's been forgetting stuff lately. The casual acceptance in her voice made my chest tight. How long had Jenna been checking out of our family? How much had Carrie noticed that I'd missed? Carrie, can I ask you something? Sure. Have you noticed Mom acting differently lately? Going out more, being distracted? Carrie looked up from her math homework, her expression too old for 13. She's been on her phone a lot, and she gets this weird smile sometimes when she's texting, like she has a secret. Do you know who she's been texting? Mr. Riker, I think. I saw his name on her phone when she left it on the counter. Mr. Riker. George had been coming to our house for years. Carrie had known him since she was little. The betrayal wasn't just mine, it was hers too. Dad, are you and Mom getting divorced? The question hit me like a punch. I wanted to lie, to protect her, to pretend everything was fine. But Carrie deserved better than the performance her mother had been giving us. I don't know yet, sweetheart. But whatever happens, it's not your fault, and I'm not going anywhere. She nodded solemnly. Good. I like living with you better anyway. Why's that? You remember to feed me. Despite everything, I laughed. Fair point. After Carrie went to bed, I sat in my kitchen and planned my next move. Jenna thought she was playing a sophisticated game, but she'd made a crucial mistake. She'd underestimated her opponent. I wasn't the simple, clueless husband she described in her text messages. I was a businessman who'd survived 20 years in a cutthroat industry by being smarter, tougher, and more patient than the competition. Jenna wanted to leave me for George? Fine. But she was going to discover that Plan B had some surprises of his own. Jenna came home at 11:30, reeking of cologne that wasn't mine, and wearing the satisfied expression of someone who thought she was getting away with something. How was book club? I asked from the couch. Oh, lots of discussion about character development and plot twists. Learn anything interesting? Just that some stories don't end the way you expect them to. She was practically glowing with her own cleverness. I wanted to applaud the performance. I'm sure they don't, I said. By the way, I had to pick up Carrie and feed her dinner. She was waiting for you. A flicker of guilt crossed her face, quickly replaced by defensiveness. I lost track of time. It happens. It's been happening a lot lately. Don't start, Kurt. I'm tired. I bet you are. She went upstairs without another word. I heard the shower running for a long time. The next morning, I put my plan into motion. First stop, the bank. Mr. Kaminsky. Janet Morrison, the branch manager, greeted me warmly. What can I do for you today? I need to make some changes to our accounts, remove my wife's access to the business funds, and I want to move our joint savings into a separate account. Janet's smile faltered. Oh, I'm sorry to hear. Is everything all right? Just being cautious. Divorce proceedings can get messy, and I want to protect the business. Of course, I'll need some paperwork, but we can take care of that today. Within an hour, Jenna's access to our money was gone. She'd been using our joint account to pay for her hotel rooms and dinners with George. That gravy train had just derailed. Next, I drove to George's garage. He was under the hood of an old Buick, humming to himself like a man without a care in the world. Hey, George. He looked up, startled. Kurt, what brings you by? Just wanted to thank you. Thank me? For what? For taking such good care of Jenna. All those study sessions and book clubs. Really above and beyond for a friend. George's face went pale, then red. I don't know what you mean. Sure you do. You've been very educational, teaching her about character development and plot twists. I could see him calculating, trying to figure out how much I knew. Kurt, if you've got something to say, just say it. I'm saying thank you for showing me exactly who my wife really is, for helping me understand that some people aren't worth the effort I've been putting in. Look, man, I think you've got the wrong idea. Do I? Because from where I'm standing, it looks like you've been playing house with my wife while I'm working to support my family. But hey, maybe I'm just the clueless husband who doesn't understand sophisticated things like adultery. George straightened up, trying to look intimidating. You better watch your tone. Or what? You'll steal my wife? Too late, George. She's all yours. Good luck with that. I turned to leave, then paused. Oh, and George, you might want to check your credit report. I heard some interesting things about your financial situation. Wouldn't want Jenna to be disappointed when she finds out what she's really getting. And I left him standing there, wrench in hand, looking like a man who'd just realized he'd bitten off more than he could chew. The beauty of small towns is that information travels fast. By the time I got back to the lot, Anna was grinning like she'd won the lottery. Rosa came through, she said, waving a folder. George Riker is in debt up to his eyeballs, 3 credit cards maxed out, behind on his truck payments, and he owes money to at least 4 different people around town. What kind of money? The kind that comes with interest and broken kneecaps if you don't pay it back. Perfect. What else? He's been telling people he's about to come into some money. A big score that's going to set him up for life. I felt a chill. What kind of score? He wouldn't say, but he's been asking questions about your business. How much the lot is worth, what kind of insurance you carry, that sort of thing. The picture was becoming clearer. George wasn't just stealing my wife, he was planning to steal everything else too, probably with Jenna's help. Anna, I want you to call our insurance company and our lawyer. Make sure everything's locked down tight. And I want security cameras installed everywhere. Today. You got it, boss. That evening, I was installing a hidden camera in my garage when Jenna came home. She was agitated, pacing around the kitchen like a caged animal. Kurt, what did you do to the bank accounts? I secured them, for the business. You can't just cut me off from our money. Our money? You mean the money I earned while you were having study sessions with George? She froze. What are you talking about? I'm talking about the fact that you've been lying to me for months. The hotel receipts, the text messages, the cozy meetings at Megan's place. Did you really think I wouldn't figure it out? Jenna's mask slipped. The pretense of innocence vanished, replaced by cold calculation. So what if I did? You said it yourself. I deserve better than this life, better than you. You're right. You do deserve better. You deserve exactly what you're going to get. What's that supposed to mean? It means you picked the wrong mark, Jenna. George isn't your ticket to a better life. He's broke, in debt, and probably planning to use you to get to my money. But hey, at least you'll be plan A in his scheme to commit fraud. You're lying. Am I? Ask him about the $15,000 he owes to Tony Marcelli. Ask him about the repo notice on his truck. Ask him about the big score he's been bragging about to anyone who'll listen. Jenna's confidence wavered. George wouldn't, he's not like that. Isn't he? You've been married to a businessman for 15 years, Jenna. You should have learned something about reading people by now. She stared at me, and I could see the doubt creeping in. The realization that maybe, just maybe, she'd been played as much as she thought she was playing me. I want a divorce, she said finally. Fine by me. But you're not getting half of anything. Not the business, not the house, not the savings you've been spending on your boyfriend. You want out? You can leave with exactly what you brought to this marriage. You can't do that. Watch me. Jenna stormed out, slamming the door hard enough to rattle the windows. I heard her car screech out of the driveway, probably heading straight to George to demand explanations. I finished installing the camera and went inside to check on Carrie. She was in her room, headphones on, pretending not to have heard the fight. You okay, kiddo? She pulled off the headphones. Are you and Mom really getting divorced? Looks that way. Good, she said quietly. She's been mean lately, to both of us. Yeah, she has. Dad, can I stay with you? When you guys split up, I mean. If that's what you want, absolutely. It is. You're nicer, and you remember to buy groceries. I hugged her, this wise, resilient kid who'd been watching her family fall apart with the clear eyes of someone too young to lie to herself about what she was seeing. I love you, Carrie. I love you too, Dad. And I'm sorry Mom's being such a jerk. Despite everything, I smiled. Language, young lady. Sorry. I'm sorry Mom's being such a meanie. That's better. As I tucked her in, I realized that Jenna had given me more than just a reason for revenge. She'd given me clarity about what really mattered. My daughter, my business, my self-respect. Those were worth fighting for. Everything else was just noise. 2 days later, my phone rang at 6 in the morning. Tommy from the Rusty Nail. Kurt, you need to get down here, now. What's wrong? Just get down here. And bring Anna if you can reach her. I called Anna on the way. She met me at the bar, both of us wondering what was so urgent it couldn't wait for business hours. Tommy was waiting with coffee and a grim expression. George and Jenna were here last night, he said without preamble. Loud, drunk, and talking about things they shouldn't have been talking about in public. Such as how they're going to make you pay for embarrassing them? Such as how they know where you keep your spare keys and your security codes? Such as how easy it would be to make it look like someone broke into your lot and stole some cars? Anna and I exchanged glances. They were planning to rob me? Worse than that. They were planning to frame you for insurance fraud. Make it look like you staged the break-in yourself, then split the money. That's insane. Desperate people do insane things, Kurt. And from what I heard, they're both pretty desperate right now. Anna leaned forward. What exactly did they say? Jenna was going on about how you'd ruined her life, how you'd turned everyone against her. George was talking about how he knew your routines, when you'd be at the lot, when you wouldn't. They were planning something for tonight. I felt that cold clarity settle over me again. They wanted to play dirty? Fine. But they just walked into a trap they didn't even know existed. Tommy, I need you to do me a favor. If anyone asks, Anna and I were here all evening, playing poker in the back room with you and whoever else you can round up. You got it. Anna, call the police. Tell them we've had some suspicious activity around the lot lately, and we want extra patrols tonight. Already on it, she said, phone in hand. We spent the day preparing. I moved the most valuable cars off the lot, ostensibly for a big sale the next day. Anna made sure all the security cameras were working and positioned to capture everything. I called my lawyer and made sure he'd be available if needed. Most importantly, I called Carrie's school and arranged for her to spend the night with her friend Jessica. Whatever happened tonight, I didn't want her anywhere near it. At 7 p.m., Anna and I drove to the Rusty Nail, making sure several people saw us arrive. Tommy had rounded up 4 regulars for an actual poker game, complete with witnesses who'd swear we'd been there all evening. At 8:30, my phone buzzed with an alert from the security system. Motion detected in the lot. Showtime, I murmured. We watched on my phone as 2 figures approached the main office. Even in the dark, I could recognize Jenna's walk and George's bulky silhouette. They were both wearing dark clothes and moving like people who thought they were being clever. George produced a key, probably a copy of mine that Jenna had made months ago. They let themselves into the office and immediately started going through files, looking for insurance papers and financial records. Idiots, Anna whispered. They're touching everything without gloves. Good. Makes it easier. For 20 minutes, we watched them search my office, photographing documents and making a mess of everything. Then George started working on the safe where I kept the cash box and important papers. That's when the police arrived. I'd timed it perfectly. The patrol car I'd requested pulled into the lot just as George was jimmying the safe lock. Jenna panicked, knocking over a lamp and creating enough noise to wake the neighborhood. The officers found them red-handed, surrounded by evidence of breaking and entering, attempted theft, and conspiracy to commit fraud. The documents they'd been photographing included fake insurance claims they'd apparently prepared in advance. My phone rang. Officer Patricia Hayes, someone I'd known for years. Kurt, we've got your wife and George Riker in custody at your lot. You need to come down and file a report. My wife? Are you sure? Positive. Caught them trying to break into your safe. Looks like they were planning to rob you and make it look like insurance fraud. I'll be right there. Anna and I made a big show of leaving the poker game reluctantly, with Tommy and the others expressing shock and concern. Perfect witnesses to our whereabouts. When we arrived at the lot, Jenna and George were sitting in the back of separate patrol cars, both looking like they'd been hit by a truck. Jenna's carefully styled hair was a mess, and George had managed to cut his hand on the safe. Evening, officers, I said. I understand there's been some trouble. Officer Hayes walked me through what they'd found. The evidence was overwhelming. Fingerprints, photographs, the fake insurance documents, even a handwritten plan in George's pocket detailing how they were going to split the money. Kaminsky, Do you want to press charges? I looked at Jenna through the car window. She was staring at me with a mixture of hatred and disbelief, like she couldn't understand how her perfect plan had gone so wrong. Absolutely, I said. They're not just thieves, they're family. That makes it worse. We'll need you to come to the station and give a full statement. Of course. As the patrol cars drove away, Anna shook her head in amazement. They actually thought they could outsmart you. They thought I was Plan B, I said. They forgot that Plan B usually exists because Plan A was stupid. Luffenregame. The next morning, the whole town was talking about it. Jenna Kaminsky and George Riker, caught red-handed trying to rob her own husband. The gossip mill was working overtime, and for once, I was the victim instead of the villain. Megan Walsh showed up at the lot before we opened, looking embarrassed and defensive. Kurt, I had no idea they were planning anything like this. Didn't you? You've been spreading gossip about their affair for weeks. You had to know something was going on. I thought it was just, romance. I didn't think they'd try to rob you. Romance. I tasted the word like it was spoiled milk. Is that what we're calling it? Look, I know you're angry. I'm not angry, Megan. I'm disappointed. Jenna was your friend, and instead of talking her out of this stupidity, you enabled it. You made it easier for her to lie to herself about what she was doing. Megan's face crumpled. I just wanted her to be happy. At my expense. At my daughter's expense. That's not friendship, Megan. That's just selfishness with better marketing. She left without another word, and I knew the social circle that had protected Jenna's affair was crumbling. When your friends get arrested for trying to rob their spouse, people start reevaluating their loyalties pretty quickly. Anna found me in the office an hour later, grinning like she'd won the lottery. The phone's been ringing all morning. Half the town wants to know if you're okay, and the other half wants to buy cars from the guy who was smart enough to catch his own wife trying to rob him. Seriously? Dead serious. We've got 3 appointments this afternoon, and 2 people coming in tomorrow. Apparently, being the victim of a crime is great for business. Who knew? Also, your lawyer called. He says the evidence is so solid that Jenna and George will probably take plea deals. No trial, minimal publicity, and you'll be free to divorce her on whatever terms you want. I leaned back in my chair, feeling something I hadn't experienced in months. Peace. Jenna had wanted to destroy me, to take everything I'd built and leave me with nothing. Instead, she'd handed me the perfect weapon to destroy herself. Her greed, her arrogance, her absolute certainty that I was too stupid to see through her schemes. It had all backfired spectacularly. Boss? Anna was watching me with concern. You okay? You look, I don't know, different. I feel different. For the first time in years, I feel like I'm exactly where I'm supposed to be. And where's that? Winning. The trial was scheduled for 3 weeks later. But as my lawyer predicted, Jenna and George took plea deals. Jenna got 18 months probation and community service. George got 2 years in county jail, partly because he had priors and partly because the fake insurance documents were his idea. The divorce proceedings were even simpler. When your soon-to-be ex-wife has been convicted of trying to rob you, judges tend to be unsympathetic to claims of marital assets. Jenna got nothing. No alimony, no property settlement, no share of the business. The only thing she fought for was custody of Carrie, and that battle lasted exactly 1 hearing. Your Honor, Carrie said when the judge asked about her preferences. I want to live with my dad. My mom forgot to feed me and tried to steal from us. That doesn't seem like good parenting. Even Jenna's lawyer winced at that one. But the real confrontation came 3 days after the divorce was finalized. I was closing up the lot when Jenna appeared, looking like a ghost of her former self. The confident, dismissive woman who'd called me Plan B was gone, replaced by someone hollow and desperate. Kurt, we need to talk. No, we don't. We're divorced. You're a convicted felon. We have nothing to discuss. Please, just 5 minutes. Against my better judgment, I let her into the office. She sat across from my desk like a job applicant, nervous and defeated. I made a mistake, she began. You made several. I know you hate me. I don't hate you, Jenna. Hate requires caring, and I stopped caring about you the night you told me I was Plan B. She flinched. I was angry. I didn't mean it. Yes, you did. And you know what? You were right. I was Plan B. But you forgot something important about backup plans. What's that? They exist because plan A usually fails. Jenna stared at me, and I could see her trying to process the wreckage of her life. George was in jail, facing financial ruin when he got out. Her friends had abandoned her after the arrest. She was living in a studio apartment across town, working at a grocery store to pay her legal fees. I lost everything, she whispered. No, you threw everything away. There's a difference. Isn't there some way to fix this? Fix what? Your criminal record? Your reputation? The fact that you tried to rob your own family? I was desperate, George said. George was using you, just like I told you he would. But you were so convinced I was too stupid to understand sophisticated things like adultery and fraud that you ignored every warning sign. Tears started running down her cheeks, but I felt nothing. No sympathy, no regret, no desire to comfort her. She'd burned those bridges herself. What about Carrie? She needs her mother. Carrie needed her mother a year ago, when you started neglecting her for your boyfriend. She needed her mother when you were planning to steal from her college fund. Now she just needs stability, and she's getting that from me. You're going to poison her against me. I don't need to. You did that yourself. Jenna sat there crying, waiting for me to offer forgiveness or reconciliation or some path back to the life she'd destroyed. But I had nothing left to give her. I should go, she said finally. Yes, you should. She stood up, hesitated at the door. Kurt? For what it's worth, I am sorry. No, you're not. You're sorry you got caught. You're sorry your plan failed. You're sorry George turned out to be exactly what I told you he was. But you're not sorry for trying to destroy me and our daughter. If you were really sorry, you never would have done it in the first place. She left without another word. I locked up the office and drove home to Carrie, who was doing homework at the kitchen table, the same table where this whole mess had started with Jenna's Plan B confession. How was school? I asked. Good. Mrs. Peterson says I'm doing better in math. That's great, kiddo. Dad? Was that Mom's car I saw leaving the lot? Yeah, she wanted to talk. About what? About how sorry she is for everything that happened. Carrie looked up from her homework, her expression skeptical. Is she really sorry? What do you think? I think she's sorry she got in trouble. But I don't think she's sorry for what she did. Smart kid. Smarter than her mother, certainly. You're probably right. Are you sad about it? About her, I mean. I thought about it, really considered the question. Was I sad about